y'all, it is Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. So as some of you may know, I've been working my way through the Wheel of Time series, mostly because I know it's kind of in the vein of what I want to eventually be writing. So it's a little bit research and just getting a feel for the genre through this really ginormous series. I have been able to read the first 4 books so far, and my goal is to be done with the first 6 books by the end of the year, which is like kind of a lofty goal. I'm on book 5 right now. I'm just starting. Considering that it's like exam season and stuff, I'm not sure that I will be able to finish book 6 by like the end of December, but I'm going to try. I'm not sure if I would like recommend the series yet. I want to get to the end before I make that decision, and maybe I'll do like a review video of the series at the end, but right now there are a couple things that I am noticing, some things that I really like and some things that I really don't. The first thing that I've kind of been thinking about more recently is that there's a lot of ambiguity as far as like answers and what's going on with the grand plot line in the background, and that is something that I actually really appreciate, because I feel like when you're writing a ginormous fantasy plot, there are a lot of pieces that the reader just can't get off the top. With the Wheel of Time, for example, I'm finding it very slow. Like each book, it's so stretched, like 14 big books, that it feels like each book you're only making like a tiny bit of progress as far as getting more information about what's happening or what's going to happen. I appreciate it because it kind of gives me permission to withhold some information in my own stuff. That's something I've been not like stressed about, but thinking about, like, will readers be frustrated with not having all the answers right away? I mean, the readers who enjoy the drawn out learning curve of high fantasy are going to enjoy going on that journey, and the readers who don't and need all the information right away probably aren't like the target readers that I'm trying to write for. I feel like it's always good to be reminded of that, because it's very easy to slip into the mindset of like, no, I need to write to like satisfy everybody, but that's just not realistic. Like some people, it's not going to be their jam, and I totally get it, but the people that I need to keep in mind are kind of the target readers that will get what I'm trying to do. And it helps also to know that there is a precedent for it. Like reading Wheel of Time has shown me how to do that properly, how to do a learning curve properly, Brandon Sanderson stuff too. So it's not just like I'm making up a new trend and expecting readers to jump on the bandwagon. There's a convention for it. Plus, I just, as a reader, I like that. I enjoy the steep learning curve. It makes me feel really accomplished when I get to the end, educated in the ways of the world, when I can spout off all the like in-world stuff that a reader who gave up after the first book wouldn't be able to talk about. So it always makes me feel super accomplished, and that's just my geekiness in a nutshell. Now, while that is a cool aspect of Wheel of Time that I like and enjoy, and there are lots of things about the series so far that I do like and enjoy, but there are some things also that are getting on my nerves and starting to bug me a little. For one thing, I feel like men and women are very pigeonholed in this series, almost stereotypical, but they reinforce the stereotypes. Like they're constantly insulting each other and like berating each other. There's a lot of like arguing and hostility that happens between the two of them. Even when they're working together to accomplish something, there's a real sense of like superiority from the women to the men, and the men being frustrated with the women, and the amount of times that a girl says, ugh, men, or that a man says, ugh, women. It's just starting to get on my nerves. A few of the female characters are also kind of like verbally abusive and manipulative. Even the romantic relationships are a little bit weird. Like they, yes, love each other, but 5 minutes ago, you know, she was calling him a moron and he was lying to her face, and it's like this weird, like, is this healthy? I don't understand. Or the romantic relationships are just really ambivalent, and that's another thing that really bothers me. Are they together? Does he love her, or does he just like her because she's a woman and he would feel the same way about any woman? So it's like, it's very odd, the dynamics, I think. I'm not saying that they should be just like all mashed together and let's not talk about men and women. Like I realize they are different and we can celebrate their differences, and I totally understand that. But I just feel like in this series, even while men and women are being shown as like equally strong and equally important to the story, which is cool, but all in all, I think that we're getting a kind of like divisive picture of how men and women work together. And it doesn't seem to be like a nice, harmonious, complementary view of men and women as God designed it. It's more like a, you guys stay over here, we'll stay over here, and we'll never mix, and we'll, you know, be constantly bickering with each other because we both think we're better than the other. And it's like, ugh, I don't like this. The stereotypes are not working for me. Not all women are manipulative and controlling, and not all men are stupid muscle machines. I'm sorry. That was a rant, but I do feel strongly about this. There seems to be a ridiculous amount of like beautiful women walking around in this series, which just, I mean, I don't know if that's completely realistic for there to be this high a concentration of like exceptionally pretty women around the characters. Like, you know, some of us are just average. What about all us normal looking women? Do we not have a place in stories? It also bugs me because the prettiness is often one of like the first things that are mentioned about the character, which is just pet peeve. The woman character should not be defined by that. Talk about her other traits, talk about her character, maybe down the line, if the relationship is heading in a romantic direction, then you can bring up that she's pretty. But we're gonna imagine her pretty anyway because we just naturally do that. Don't tell us that. That should not be the first thing that we hear about that character. I just find that really, what's the word? Demeaning for every single female character that comes into the scene. The first thing that the guys think is like, oh, she's pretty. Like, no, we'll put together the picture. Do not start with prettiness. I just, okay. Need to rein it in because I could talk about this all day. Overall, I am enjoying it. And I, again, might do a review down the road, kind of like parsing some of these things that worked for me and some of the things that didn't. But all in all, the cumulative effect is that it's inspiring me to be more intentional about the way I portray these things, about the way I do my information plot, for example, or the way that I portray interactions between male and female characters. I ideally would like to do it in a more constructive and complementary way, the way God designed us to interact with each other, instead of that like divisive, like hostile, but also working together, but also not functional at all way. And to be fair, I am only just starting book 5, so maybe that's something I've just noticed in like the first couple books, and it will improve as the series goes on, and they'll become more functional and more complementary. And it doesn't apply to all the characters in the book by any means. There are characters who defy this kind of trend, but it is a trend that I have noticed in the series, in the books that I've read so far, so I would be pleasantly surprised and perfectly happy if that changed and improved as the series goes on. Just goes to show how even problems in stories or things that don't work for us, God can use to shape us as writers and teach us how to better write ideas into our own stories. So that was my little rant reading highlights. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like and subscribe and comment below with maybe what you're reading right now and how you feel about it. And as always, do not forget to spend some time in the clouds today.